Today, we have another interview in action from the conferences that just happened down here in Miami and Orlando. My name is Bill Russell. I'm a former CIO for a 16-hospital system and creator of This Week Health, a set of channels dedicated to keeping health IT staff current and engaged. We want to thank our show sponsors who are investing in developing the next generation of health leaders: Gordian Dynamics, Quill Health, Tausight, Nuance, Canon Medical, and Current Health. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. Here we go. All right, here we are, an interview in action. We did not get to do all the interviews that we wanted to do on the floor. And I'm finally catching up with Vikrant Arora from Hospital for Special Surgery. Vic, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill.
Hey, yeah, sorry we didn't get to catch up. You were down at the HIMSS conference. There was a lot going on. So first of all, what did you think of the conference?
I think the conference was very well structured. It did focus on items that are top of mind for a lot of healthcare executives. And I saw an evolution from using just the buzzwords of AI and ML to make patient care better and fix healthcare. You actually saw some meat on the bones this time around.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I noticed as well. I saw some AI models that were being used by some health systems, and I was actually kind of encouraged by the progress we're making to improve outcomes and to really improve the efficiency of clinicians. Did you get to sit in the cybersecurity track that they had the day before the HIMSS conference?
Yeah, it conflicted with the executive track, so I did half of the executive track and half cybersecurity track.
Well, hopefully you got the best of both tracks. What were they talking about at the cybersecurity track? What was the topic of conversation? I assume it's finding good talent and the state of readiness that's going on, but what were the topics that you picked up on?
So the two things that I picked up on and that resonated the most with me, one was a positive thing and the other was negative. I'll start with the negative first, for lack of better words. It's the cyber stress and burnout that doesn't get talked about very frequently. And in my experience, it stems from two things. There are so many events that are outside your control that can cause cyber harm to your organization. I mean, talk about the Log4j vulnerability from the winter of 2021 to a workforce company getting exploited, impacting customers across the globe, and now the Russia-Ukraine conflict and collateral cyber damage stemming from it. And the other piece is a shortage of cyber talent. So these two items, when combined, lead to a lot of uncertainty, which in general causes stress. So I think I was happy to hear that they were talking about it, and I think more conversation needs to happen around that. And the positive thing that I took from the track was around cyber being used as an enabler for consumerism and digital transformation. All for the past almost 10 years, as long as I've been a CISO, I've been trying to align cyber with the business. But I think the trend is reversing. The business needs to now align with cyber, because a customer cannot love an app that he or she cannot trust. And the only way you can build a trustworthy app is through an investment in cyber. So I think that reversing of trend was quite encouraging to see.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Digital bringing cyber alongside, because we all want the benefits that digital is going to bring to us, the convenience factors and all those other things. But in order to do that, first of all, they trust your hospital, right? I mean, Correct. So that foundation's already set. But every breach or every incident that happens sort of chips away at that trust, and so it is so important to put that foundation in place. I will say this: I talked to a handful of CISOs, and I saw a couple of them that I didn't interview. They look tired. Now you came on this call and you sounded so upbeat and excited. I was kind of taken aback, but there's what can we do for our cyber professionals? It feels like we've been on a state of alert for the last, I don't know, it feels like 2 years, and I'm not sure I see the end in sight. What can we do to keep our staff encouraged, energized, and focused?
That's a loaded question. The reason I look the way you described is because we just resumed our return to office just from last week. So it's a pleasant change of scenery. I'm back to seeing all my colleagues. Things seem a little bit more normal than the past 2 years. So I guess that explains why I look a little bit different from the rest of the folks. And but jokes apart, I think from a cyber standpoint, that's what I tell the team. First and foremost, there needs to be a lot of empathy for all the cybersecurity professionals. They are being held accountable for breaches and incidents when sometimes the teams are understaffed, the risks are not addressed in a timely manner. So trying to understand cyber risks can go a long way. It is an organizational function. It's not the function of the cybersecurity team. But specifically speaking, I encourage my team, and that's the philosophy we follow at Hospital for Special Surgery, continue to focus on cyber hygiene. I mean, if we start looking for a silver bullet every time there's a crisis, there is no end to it, and you will feel like you're just spinning wheels. But doubling down on cyber hygiene and building a program that is based on just two things: business objectives and risks specific to your business, and then continuing on that path rather than changing course every time there's a news out there and it may or may not impact you.
Yeah.
So those are the two things I would say.
So you're back to work in New York City. Are you back full time then, or have you guys gone to a hybrid model of some kind?
We have a hybrid model.
Okay, because that's a big topic right now for a lot of different health systems, but in New York City especially, because without workers going into New York City, a lot of the other businesses that live in New York City end up dying off. The restaurants, the dry cleaning, all those things. If people aren't coming to work, so there's that catch-22. Are you seeing more people on the streets of New York? More of the businesses coming back?
I think it has been picking up every week. There is slightly more people in the city, in the offices, and that has been going on ever since the fears from Omicron vanished, for lack of better words. So we've seen a linear increase. At least I've seen more people in the subways, more in the buses, more across the bridge. It's back to being almost as busy as it was before the pandemic. Not fully there yet. So that's my benchmark of how much we have returned to normal, but it's happening.
Well, let me ask you this as a closing question, which is the cyber talent, the war for cyber talent. If people are wondering, when I have CISOs on the show, as a CIO, I had an internal auditor, and the internal auditor wouldn't let me talk about security with anyone, or at least the specifics of our security. So people who are tuning in are like, why don't you ask them about the specifics of their security? Because I know you're not allowed to talk about it anyway. So we'll stick with some of the things we can talk about. You're going to have to hire. My guess is you're going to have to hire over the next year or so talent for the cybersecurity space. And there's different levels of talent. Obviously, you need some high-level people who really understand it. But what I'm hearing is a lot of people hiring and upskilling. They're hiring people from different domains within the IT world, and they're upskilling that talent. Is that a strategy that you guys are looking at? And if you're looking at that strategy, what does it look like to upskill people? How do you bring them up to speed very quickly?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because we went through that. How do we address the cyber skills shortage? And we came up with 4 specific things. The first one is using as much managed service as possible for level 1, level 2 tasks. A lot of organizations are now offering tools coupled with people and processes to solve basic or provide basic cybersecurity services. So there's no point hiring people to do level 1, level 2 tasks. So that's one strategy. Again, it all has to be done on a spectrum. It's not like you can hire managed service for everything, but wherever possible, that's one. The second is automation and orchestration. With the advances in interoperability, automation, programming, and digital interfaces and APIs, technologies previously wouldn't talk to each other because of competitive interests, but now things have changed. All cybersecurity technologies, to some degree, it's like the EMR space as well. They now talk to each other, not very happily, but they do. But take advantage of automation and orchestration to reduce the amount of work for your workforce. The third is finding talent within the organization, somewhat along with, to your point, that hiring somebody and training them up. Because somebody on the inside, as long as they bring the right attitude, they also bring with them the business knowledge, the organizational knowledge, and culture is something that we hold very dear to our heart. So if I can find somebody who's culturally in tune with the organization, that's a big win already. So hiring somebody from within the organization and then having a clear program for them to get basic certifications such as CISSP or shadowing a senior engineer would be the third thing. And the last thing is creating an intern pipeline. We have technology has been literally turned on its head with cloud and digital transformations. We have a lot more need for programmers and developers than we had in the past. Everything is being sold as a service. There's nobody's buying like hardware servers anymore. They're all going to cloud, and it's serverless, and it's all in code, which means the foundational people you need are programmers. And if you can find good programmers and train them on cyber, you kind of kill two birds with one stone. They're more aligned with the business objectives, with the digital transformation, and if they've been trained on cyber, they can prove to be an asset. And they don't have to learn a lot of legacy technology that we're moving away from anyways on-prem. So I know it was a lot of things, but those four are the approaches we're taking.
No, that was gold. I'm gonna clip that, and that's gonna be what I share with people. That's a phenomenal answer. Vic, I want to thank you for your time. These are short interviews. We'll have to do something a little longer later, but I appreciate you taking the time to spend with me.
Definitely appreciate the opportunity. Thanks, Bill.
Another great interview. I want to thank everybody who spent time with us at the conferences. It is phenomenal that you shared your wisdom and your experience with the community, and it is greatly appreciated. We also want to thank our channel sponsors who are investing in our mission to develop the next generation of health leaders: Gordian Dynamics, Quill Health, Tausight, Nuance, Canon Medical, and Current Health. Check them out at thisweekhealth.com/today. Thanks for listening. That's all for now.